I was completely alone, or so I thought. This happened several winters back, when I was working overnight security at a large distribution facility outside a mid-sized manufacturing town. I was 27 years old at the time, and had been on the job for just under 9 months. My shift ran from midnight until 8 in the morning, and I was always alone on site. There was a supervisor on call if something went wrong, but realistically, it was just me, a radio, and a wall of security monitors. The complex sat in an industrial zone, far from any real nightlife. Once the sun went down, the entire area felt abandoned. Most nights followed the exact same pattern. I would clock in, walk the exterior fence line, check all access points, then settle into the security office and watch the cameras. Every 60 minutes, I would head back out for another patrol. The warehouse itself stored heavy machinery parts and bulk materials. Nothing flashy, nothing that screamed high value. The night everything unraveled started off completely routine. It was cold enough for light snow to fall, but nothing that stuck heavily. I completed my first patrol without issue and returned inside. Everything was locked, everything was quiet. At around 1:45 in the morning, I received a motion alert from one of the loading dock cameras. That was not unusual. The system was sensitive, and snow, wind, or animals often set it off. I pulled up the feed and watched for a moment. The dock was empty. Snow drifted through the glow of the floodlights. Nothing else moved. Then the alert happened again. Every 10 to 15 minutes, the same camera triggered. Each time, I checked the screen and saw nothing. What started to bother me was that the motion always appeared to register at the very edge of the frame, like something was present but deliberately staying out of view. By 2:45, I had received at least half a dozen alerts from that one camera alone. None of the others showed any activity. At 3 in the morning, I decided to check it in person. The snow had mostly stopped by then, and the entire complex was unnervingly quiet. I walked the length of the loading docks with my flashlight, checking every door. Everything was locked. There were no footprints in the snow except my own. I went back inside. Black square. About 20 minutes later, I heard a loud, scraping noise echo through the building. It sounded metallic, like something heavy being dragged across concrete. The sound came from deep inside the warehouse. I immediately checked the interior cameras. All 6 feeds showed empty aisles, no movement, no people. That was when I started to feel unsettled. Not just nervous, but like something was deliberately messing with me. I tried to rationalize it. Old buildings make noise. Temperature changes cause things to shift. Wind does strange things. Then, about an hour later, I heard it again. This time, it was louder. The dragging sound returned, followed by a sudden, sharp impact, like something had slammed into one of the interior doors. I switched through the camera feeds again. Cameras 1 through 5 showed nothing. When I pulled up camera 6, the screen went black. There were maybe 3 seconds of static, and then the feed came back. But the view was wrong. The camera had shifted slightly to the left, just enough to notice, like someone had bumped it, or adjusted it. At that point, I had no choice. I grabbed my flashlight and radio and headed into the warehouse. The interior was enormous, roughly 75,000 square feet of tall shelving arranged into long, narrow aisles. During the day, the place was bright and busy with forklifts. At night, the lights were dimmed, bathing everything in a dull yellow glow that barely reached the floor. I was about halfway down the main aisle when I heard footsteps. They came from somewhere to my left, maybe 2 aisles over. Slow, deliberate, human. The moment I stopped walking, the footsteps stopped too. I stood there, barely breathing, surrounded by silence, the kind that presses against your ears. After what felt like an eternity, I could not stand it anymore. I announced myself in a loud, steady voice, identifying myself as security and telling whoever was there to make it easy and come out. There was no response. The rest of that patrol was the most terrifying experience of my life. I expected a confrontation at any second. Every aisle I checked without finding anyone made the dread worse, not better. I finished the patrol without seeing a single person. And that was the worst part, because I knew, without any doubt, that I had not been alone. The remainder of the shift passed without incident, but the feeling never left. When morning finally came, all I wanted was to leave. I reported everything to my supervisor when he arrived. Maintenance inspected the building from top to bottom. They found nothing. No forced entry, no disturbed doors, no explanation. I could tell they did not believe me. Even now, years later, that night still stands out as one of the most disturbing things I have ever experienced. Outside of law enforcement and a few close family members, this is the first time I have ever laid it all out like this. And thinking about it still makes my skin crawl.
Subscribe for more real horror stories. Like the video if you felt this fear too.